I'd like to make my after-the-fact Super Bowl prediction now. We're expecting like one of those nor'easters here. Nor'easter. We are either going to get 2 inches or 11 feet of snow. Wake-ups do not. It still doesn't mean I'm dumb enough to believe that, former President Trump didn't commit all those crimes. It's like, hey, do you want to reboot your system right now? No. You'll get like 30 things wrong, and then at the very end be like, yeah, it's a good song, though. He could have just shook his hand, gave him a hug, and be like, I'm going to kill you. More first downs than I ever would. That's exactly the big myth that is football. Just drinking like a baby. Like, I don't know what's going to happen when I turn like 85 and I'm still doing this show, but I think it's going to be pretty rough going.
Hard Rock Lunchbox.
What is up, everybody? Normally I don't start the show that badly, but like, I gotta tell you, man, I don't know what's going on. Like, there may literally be a gas leak today, because I am having so much trouble just trying to focus and keep things on the normal. I couldn't remember how to start my own show. I mean, like, I gotta tell you, to be perfectly honest, like, it's not really even all that complicated, like, on a good day. Like, it's not even all that complicated on a bad day. I feel like I was hitting the wrong buttons, and then, like, I couldn't remember to turn my microphone on, and then, like, I had to bring up the sound. It's like, I don't know what's going to happen when I turn, like, 85 and I'm still doing this show, but I think it's going to be pretty rough going. So, I left all my notes all the way over there, so welcome to the show, everybody. It is a beautiful February 15th, 2024. I realized in last week's show I didn't say the date, which is something I always do, and I did not. I do it for a couple of reasons. One, so we know the date of the show for archival purposes, because I didn't used to, and I never knew what show I was looking at unless I titled it properly, which I didn't always, so that seemed kind of important. I usually line up so that when I'm saying, like, whatever the date is, the thing comes in, or actually it comes in from this side and says what the top 20 and the date. But yeah, I didn't do that last week, and I was like looking for it. I was like, I guess I just forgot. So today, February 15th, 2024. We are almost out of winter, right? 2/3 almost. 2/3 in the Northeast finally got its first real snowstorm in like 2 to 3 years, and even that was like barely a snowstorm. I had a meeting scheduled for, I guess, Tuesday. And it was funny because the dude I was meeting with is kind of like one of like my new de facto bosses, I think. But he was like, on Monday he was like, can we meet tomorrow? And I was like, well, he's from Jersey, so he kind of understands some of this stuff. I was like, well, we're expecting like one of those nor'easters here. So, nor'easter. I forgot the apostrophe. Nor'easters. So we are either going to get 2 inches or 11 feet of snow, and I really just don't know. And it seems like we lose power less when we have a lot more snow. It seems like we lose it more when it's a little bit. But I think the reason we lose power when it's just like a little bit of bad weather is because people around here just can't drive. And I think they crash into telephone poles and knock our power out like the old-fashioned way. I don't think the power is just getting shut off at the plant or cables are snapping. I think, honestly, people are just being idiots and can't drive. I will say I was walking up to my chiropractor yesterday, and the snow is not fully shoveled, right? Like on people don't shovel on walkways and stuff like that. And it was a little treacherous, but like what was really, I guess, obnoxious is like, sometimes I'm like forced to walk like in the shoulder of the road and stuff like that, and cars are still just drifting into it. Like, hey man, I'm literally just walking here. So like I realize whenever I'm walking on a somewhat main street, like I have to be constantly aware that I might have to just dive off into the side, out of nowhere. Like it's really bad. Also, like, I want to point out to people that walk, there are other people that walk in the world. The proper place to walk on a street is you are supposed to walk against traffic. All vehicles are supposed to go the same way, but pedestrians are supposed to go against traffic. That is so they can see you, but mainly so that you can see them. It really drives me crazy when people walk on the wrong side of the road. Like, one, it's just stupid. Are you not even realizing that there are cars behind you that could just be swerving right into the shoulder and could just hit you, and you're not even going to notice? I mean, like, dude, wake up, Stunad. Like, seriously, like, this should be, like, obvious. Like, I get so uncomfortable when I have to do that for, like, a minute. The only exceptions to that is obviously when there's sidewalks. If there's a sidewalk on one side of the street, not on the other, then you can use that. But if you're walking on a street, on the actual asphalt, you're supposed to walk against traffic. I don't know why people don't know that. But then I really got to stop being so surprised at what people don't know, because people are absolutely just complete hard R's about everything, most things these days. But they're also not being taught anything. But, like, the old wisdom of, like, conventional and common sense is, like, gone. It's just lost on people. It's not even, like, a particular generation. Like, there are people from older than me all the way down, like, they just don't get it. They just don't understand, because they don't have the capacity for intellectual thought, I think is really what it is. I know I've cited this example to my daughter a bunch. We were on the soccer field maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Now, Charlotte happens to be very gifted mathematically. It's just something she's really good at. It sort of runs in my family. Like, I am very, very good at math. But, like, I am, like, dog shit compared to, like, my cousin Mark, who's just a brilliant mathematician. My father was a really good, really strong mathematically. But, like, so it's not unusual, right, for me to be around somebody that's, like, really, really gifted in math. And Charlotte is basically, she's in calculus for fun at this point at, like, a math academy. So she's there. But we were saying we were on a soccer field. I'm going to go with, like, maybe 2 years ago. And the girls on the team were complaining about their math, which was probably rudimentary algebra at that point, which Charlotte has just really had gone past. But they were complaining about, like, how hard it was, and she kind of, like, pulled me over to the side, and she was like, Dad, I don't think math's that hard. And I just told her, I was like, look, you're just going to have to get used to that, because you're just particularly gifted in mathematics. Like, just is what it is. But I realized that, like, and I know that I've said this on the show, like, there are bell curves for intelligence, right? And that, I'm not even talking about education or wisdom, I'm talking about just intelligence. There's bell curves for it. So when you are somebody like me, and I'm not trying to be a dick about this and just saying a fact, when you're somebody that's on the upper side of that bell curve, right, you have to realize that when you're in the middle, 50% of the people on that curve are going to be less intelligent than you are. So the further you move to the other side, you're going to have a lot more less intelligent people. And I feel like that is one of my bigger frustrations over the past 10 years. Even when I've talked, like, socioeconomic economic issues or political stuff, like I used to say all the time, like, the people I'm arguing with, like, on Facebook, when I would go on Facebook and argue some of this stuff, are people that are just so stupid. Like, they just don't have the capacity, and it's not even their fault. They don't even have the capacity to understand some of these things, some of these comments, some of these situations. I'm sorry. I am so goddamn tired today. It feels like I'm asleep, like, behind my eyes. I know I clocked the hours for being asleep, but it just didn't, like they didn't notify. Like, nobody in my brain was told, because my brain is, like, completely exhausted and just not focusing. So I may make a lot of mistakes today. It still doesn't mean I'm dumb enough to believe that, former President Trump didn't commit all those crimes. My thing is shaking. That's bad. I fixed it. Fixed it all by myself. I don't know why. Like, my laptop keeps wanting to do stuff every time we start the show. It's like, I guess it's because everything's programmed to go at noon. It's like, hey, do you want to reboot your system right now? It's like, did you see how I just turned you on? So probably not. That's also not a phrase. Actually, just turn it on. So anyway, all my notes are over there. So I don't have any housekeeping, but I will say that I think, if I remember correctly, on Bacon Is My Podcast, they had the Sleeping on, or at least the Dude from the Sleeping. I think pretty sure they were, like, a local thing. So I feel like the Dude from the Sleeping owned a piece of Amityville Music Hall for a little while or something like that. I forget what the deal is, but you can check that out. The Discussions and Drinks is out. I was listening to the last Discussions and Drinks. I know I was talking about it last week on the show. It was just super interesting for me. I don't know what everybody else's takeaway, but it was interesting to hear Jimmy and Mike talk about kind of like what I was saying, like, about how, like, we have, like, these groups of people that listen, like, you know, these are people that we ask for their feedback on certain songs and certain music. And Mikey actually brought up, or asked Jimmy, like, does he have specific people he asks for specific things? And I thought that was interesting. But, like, kind of the takeaway was that when you are a songwriter that goes through, like, the production process, like, you can just send, like, me, for example, like, you can send me a rough idea, like, Andy Sexton from Off the Turnpike does this all the time. Like, he'll send me something that's clearly being recorded either in a very dangerous hallway in Soho or his bathroom. And it's like, I can, you know, I realize it's not the final product, but I can hear, like, the song in it. I don't need the full production vibe of it and stuff like that, which is a very valuable thing early on in a song. But Jimmy was talking about how sometimes he'll send stuff to Brian Speaker, and he'll get basically a barrage back of everything that's wrong with the song. And, like, it's just so funny, because I used to get that from my producer that produced the first 3 Revel 9 records, Razorblade Diaries, Reality Crush, and Do No Harm. And sometimes he would send me stuff back, and he would be like, yeah, you know, it's awful. Everything's awful. This is wrong. This is incorrect. Because it's like, it's a hyper technical review, like when you're sending into a producer, and then, like, at the very end, it's like, you know, you'll get like 30 things wrong, and then at the very end, be like, yeah, it's a good song though. It's like, but I mean, that is the job. It was so funny to sort of just for me to relate to that. They were drinking butter soda, which I would not recommend. I'm not going to do that. They were talking about doing butter soda with some crab legs. I honestly don't know if they're going to be doing a Cooking Is My Passion or whatever it is the Patreon show is. But, like, keep an eye out for that, I guess, because that might be funny or interesting. Every time I eat, like, anything that's, like, even remotely different, like, I just think about, like, how much I am not good at doing any of that stuff. Like, I have no tolerance at all. Like, I was watching John Oliver on Hot Ones. I like John Oliver, and he was acting kind of like I act. Like, when you eat something, it's like, oh, this is absolutely dreadful and awful or whatever. It's like, very funny. Sorry, I feel like I'm all over the place. So I really am so goddamn tired. I want to do a quick new segment for you today that we're going to start. I'd like to make my after-the-fact Super Bowl prediction now, and I believe that it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl this past weekend. It was funny. I do not care. I do not care about football. I'm not somebody that watches football. I'm sure any listener of mine knows. Really, the only sport I follow at all is women's professional soccer, and I don't even really follow the club teams so much. I mean, although the Gotham Football Club might be something worth watching this year, they've signed Rose Lavelle is here now, and a couple other players from the professional team. Like, that's going to be pretty badass to watch. So check that out. But certainly whenever we're on the world stage, both men's and women's, but primarily the Women's World Cup is and the Olympics is what I follow. But I do find that I tend to watch the Super Bowl every year. I think it's because it's on a Sunday, so I can. Like, physically, I am able and available to watch. But also, in my head, it's just very much like, yep, these are the 2 best teams, you would think. Probably, maybe, I don't know. Probably the 2 best teams, so it's probably going to be a pretty good game. And, you know, statistically, there's not a whole lot of, like, Super Bowl blowouts, so they're usually pretty good games. But I was not watching it. I totally spaced on it. I actually spaced on the Puppy Bowl, which bummed me out because I had to go back and try and find the Puppy Bowl because, you know, Team Rough versus Team Fluff never failed to, never disappoint. They never fail to impress, so I always try and watch that. Also, I think it's just a great idea. I mean, all those dogs get adopted, like, every single year, so great, awesome. But I did end up watching it. I thought it was a fantastic game. I am not a fan of any particular team. I know that probably seems odd because we are just so tribal in the world these days that, you know, I understand why people from Buffalo hate people from Pittsburgh, like, for 13 weeks during the year. Like, I get it. Like, that's just how the human tribal mentality kind of works. But I don't particularly have a team. What I do is I actually like particular players, and I am a huge Pat Mahomes fan. Now, I do not know a whole lot about him. I've known what I've barely read over the past 4 to 5 years about him. He seems like a good dude. I do know that the first time I really experienced him as a player was when they lost to, I don't know if they lost to Tampa Bay, I forget, but they lost to Tom Brady. So I think it might have been when Tampa Bay won last time. And immediately after the game, like, they're still on the field, Mahomes came up to Brady and congratulated him. Like, now, honestly, I wasn't there, so I don't know. He could have just shook his hand, gave him a hug, and be like, I'm going to kill you. But, like, I just don't think that's what happened. And that's also not quite the rap on Mahomes either. He's a younger dude. He's worked really hard. He's, like, apparently, like, well liked in the league and stuff like that. And while I don't find that to be unusual in terms of sportsmanship, like, you should have that level of sportsmanship. I'm frustrated often with the lack of sportsmanship in youth sports. And I feel like the forced, like, we got to shake hands at the end of the game, but, like, you can just play like animals during the game, it's poorly done. I think it's a horrible idea. But I saw him do that, and what I liked about it is that I consider it to be the right way to do things, and it was a very public, national spotlight sort of thing on the right way to do things. And I did not see the quarterback from the 49ers do that this time to Mahomes, and I didn't see it last time either. And so I just don't think it's all that common of a thing, and I think it ought to be. But, like, that level of just, like, we're playing this sport together, and I respect you for playing this sport, and I respect you for being on the same field as I do, I think is a class act. So ever since then, I thought Pat Mahomes was, like, a much more worthy individual of my attention. Plus, dude, I love watching that guy play. I mean, there's just something about the way he plays the game, the way he throws the ball, the fact that he gets more first downs than I ever would. Like, it's just great to watch him play. I think he's like 28 years old. Like, I keep thinking he's like 14, but, like, he's a young dude, man. And if he goes the distance like that Brady just went, and, to be 40 years old and still playing, I mean, he's got 12 more Super Bowls. He's already won 3. He's got 3 rings. He's won the NFL MVP 3 times. So he's already tied with Joe Montana of San Francisco 49ers, I believe, which I think is a pretty impressive feat for such a young age. Like, he's won, 3 out of the last 4 Super Bowls? Like, dude, what were you doing over the last 4 Super Bowls? Not winning them. I assure you that. Unless Tom Brady's listening, you were not winning any of the last 4 Super Bowls. And I'm pretty sure Pat Mahomes isn't, because they're probably still reeling from all the nonsense in Kansas City. And isn't it a good idea, like, to bring guns to, like, a Kansas City Chiefs, like, ticker tape parade kind of thing? It's such a good idea. I'm so glad the NRA keeps forcing all these guns in everybody's hands, because nobody ever gets hurt, and it's always the right thing to do, right? Right, NRA? Isn't that right? Anyway, so it was really nice to see. But what was funny, there was a scene. They were commenting in the fourth quarter because somebody had gotten hurt, like tore his socks or whatever. But the announcers were saying like how everyone's really tired, so like now you're going to see like the stamina kind of kick in, and that was really true. I mean, Mahomes just like marched his team down the field super fast. But Charlotte, who has played soccer since she was 4 years old, understands what it's actually like to play a full game, because in soccer, you don't get breaks, right? Like, you get like position times where the ball isn't by you and you can kind of just hang out, but you don't get break. You get 45 minutes, and then you get injury time, and then you get some time off, then you get another 45 minutes injury time. You just go the whole time. So she was just like, I don't understand. Like, aren't these like elite athletes? Like, why are they tired? Like, they're barely playing every other minute of a 15-minute quarter. And I just looked at her, I was like, well, that's exactly the big myth that is football. And it's also why every fat fuck in America thinks that they can play football. They can't. But, that's why they think they can do it. But, like, you get, like, basketball players and, like, soccer players, and they're looking at, like, all the timeouts and the huddle and the clock and all that other stuff, and they're like, what are you even doing? Like, why are you so, like, what you never hear is people being like, in baseball, whoa, they're so tired, unless they get to, like, the 95th inning. But, like, football players, it's, like, constantly like, oh, man, they're so tired. It's like, dude, you were just kneeling for half of that. Like, what do we even do? But I don't feel comfortable critiquing football players because it's not a job I can do. So they're in definitely better shape than I am. I thought it was funny to get the perspective from a soccer player. I will tell you, and then I'll move on. Not that anybody asked, but I did something so stupid this week. I don't even understand like how. Well, I understand how it happened. So one of the things I do when I walk, sometimes I walk to my gym. It's 25 minutes away, so sometimes I go there. And what I've been trying to do is walk to the gym and do like 10 to 15 minutes of arm exercise or chest. I don't know why I don't do them here. I just don't feel like doing them here. So sometimes me going to the gym, I can do some flies, I can do some lats, I can do some curls, triceps, and stuff like that. So I go there, and I have an app that just sort of tracks like what I did last time. So I went in and I just tried to do what I had done last time. And, you know, it was hard, but it wasn't like impossible. So I just failed a couple times. But failing is good for muscle building, right? That's how you build more muscle. But I didn't think anything of it. So the next day, though, I pulled, I guess, the tendon or strained it in both arms, doing my measly amount of arm curls, bicep crunches, to the point where I couldn't even lift my bottle of water yesterday at work. And I'm sitting there and I'm like trying to, like, I can't even hold it. So I'm holding it like this, like I'm just drinking like a baby, like just trying to drink the water out of this thing. And I was like, what the? So I look and it turns out I haven't been to the gym in over a month. So in my head, I was like, I go like, you know, once, sometimes twice a week. That's true, but not for like the entire month of January and most of February, because I was away for some of it. There was some bad weather for some of it. The days I, have to go to the chiropractor to do that. Other days I don't have time to go. So it just turns out I hadn't gone. So I went and I basically did a full arm workout after 30-something days of not working them out at all. And now I'm paying the price. I will tell you that was Monday. I am still sore, but I'm back to just being able to drink my water with one hand like a semi-adult. So that's it. I had a lot more to talk about today, but I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to dip out and we're going to get into some music. I've got brand new Pathmaker coming up at the top of the hour, so definitely stick around for that. That's going to be awesome. I got other music, but we're going to go local for a little while, because local and undersigned is the way to go, I think. These are some of my boys from up in Connecticut. I've been playing with them for a very long time. It'd be very good to get back up on a stage with them. Maybe in 2024, maybe 25, 26, I don't know. Mahomes is probably still going to win the Super Bowl, so it doesn't really much matter.